think you can probably see me, hopefully. Alright, so anyway, how's it going, men? I have more to say, and I wanted to talk about just the whole incredible just how heated things can get and how easily we can get really emotional about a lot of the topics, especially us men who have lost our, or I don't even, never even had our children, I guess, never had our children, never had custody of our children, I don't know, it's like when you try to explain to people and they have a kind of, and we use this word a lot, but the reason we use it a lot is because you really do encounter narcissism. When you say, what are you talking about? You know, men really generally don't get custody for no good reason that anybody can explain. And people just, okay, alright, you don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Just deny absolute realities, and it's kind of sickening, actually, in a way. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I got drawn into a conflict, a heated argument, with a female friend of mine. She's not that it matters, but I think a lot. I just like to be descriptive. She's a Native American girl, and it's like these people, they want to help, but then, and they ask you questions, and they're people that know you and trust you. These people know that I have no criminal record. I mean, I have family, I have friends, I have female friends, I am MGTOW, but I have female friends. They're not afraid to hang around me. They know that I have no criminal record, I'm not going to like jump on them and beat them any second. That's just that, I've been defamed by women, so I have that kind of follows me around, but that's a whole nother topic. But my point being is, these people, they're friendly, they want to help, and they know you. They know the point I'm trying to make is, if they don't know your situation, then they're dummies, because they've been hanging around, and this is men too, not just women. They've been hanging around with you for 5 years, and they're friends of yours, right? But it's just so funny that how sometimes they seem to get amnesia. And maybe you've experienced this. They get, a lot of times, and they get amnesia. The same people who you're very consoling, you understand their issues, and then when you bring up your issues, they get amnesia all of a sudden, and all of a sudden they don't know you that well or something. Who are these people? So, so my point being is, I'm getting, this is going to be a long video. But these people, they know your situation, and here's how it works. They almost bait you in, because these are your friends and you trust these people, and your family too, unfortunately. But they almost bait you in, and then at that critical moment when you need understanding, they let you down. They drop the ball, and then your voice raises, and then all of a sudden they're trying to insinuate that you're being unreasonable. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, well, there's not really much you can do about my kids, because she's like, she wants to be helpful. And it probably would help to have a woman, unfortunately. That's how sad it is to, help get my kids back. But, what are the names? So it's like the third time they've asked me that. I'm like, this is their names. I'm like, it doesn't, I'm like, there's nothing, I was like, I'm the father, and she's neglected the children, and I've never neglected any children, and she has custody. If they're not giving the kids to me, then what makes you think anything is going to make them let me see my kids? I have no record. No record. I've stayed out of trouble my entire life. So, I'm controversial because I talk about a lot of controversial issues. So I guess my kids should have to, because I'm controversial, because I'm a controversial figure in my community, I guess my kids should have to go live with someone who's already had issues, and I don't even want to get into it with them, and lost custody of them one time. So, and then the neighbor comes out, this other guy, and I like him, he's not a bad guy, he just had a white knight moment. All of a sudden it's, Stuart, calm down, you shut up, we're trying to have a peaceful day. Because I'm saying things like, no, I'm saying things like the Violence Against Women Act, that's only for women, it's not violence against people. Huh, what? I mean, these women don't even know. Do you know there's women that don't know there's a Violence Against Women Act? Or is it all of a sudden they just get amnesia when it's not beneficial for them to acknowledge it in an argument? You know what I mean? And I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, men are completely discriminated against. It's like saying that flowers bloom in the spring. You know, up here where I live in Massachusetts, it's like saying flowers bloom in the spring to say that men don't get custody of their kids. Okay? To debate that men don't get custody of their kids, not even 50-50, from, generally speaking, would be like to say that chickens don't lay eggs. You might as well, and then to say that the person that's pretty much saying that chickens, the person that's saying chickens doesn't lay eggs, for them to start saying, that person will say that you, for saying chickens lay eggs, are being unreasonable. And then in other words, so when you start getting heated up and like, no, chickens fucking lay eggs, chickens fucking lay eggs, you know what I mean? Then it's, no, you're being unreasonable. Do you understand where I'm going with this? And then, so now I'm like, fuck you. How about you shut the fuck up? And he's like, fuck you and fucking on. And then now here comes the magic P word. I'm going to call the police. I'm going to call the police. Right then, the female exits the situation, laughs at me. This is my friend. She's a friend of mine. We already rolled over this too, and blah blah blah. I'm making an example of. I'm showing you a microcosm of what's going on countrywide right now. So yeah. And I'm like, see, and I say to her as she's exiting the situation now, I've gotten riled up, neighbors and me are confronting each other, and she's like slick like oil out of it, just like grease, like she put, like a wrestler putting grease all over him, just gone. You can't, you know what I mean? There, can't do anything about it. But anyway, yeah, then I'm like, see how it works? I'm told I'm unreasonable for not seeing my kids. I get upset. Police are called. You walk away. Who gets in trouble? The man. And she laughs. Not in my world. So not in her. So her world is. She's got her own little world, I guess, where it's all fairy tales and dragons. This is the. Oh, I wanted to do a shout out to I'm Everyman. This is the Disney douchebag princess syndrome, where they apparently live in Disneyland and they don't give a fuck what goes on in your world. So I mean, you know, it's just crazy. So then, not the police are called, but somebody else is called in my family. They show up. And I'm pretty much calming down, but I want to make my point. I want to make them make my point. So as they're like, calm down, don't be unreasonable, first I'm like, something tells me if you could never see your kids and you were told you were being unreasonable about it, and someone told you to calm down, you would probably punch them in the mouth, and nobody said anything. I'll take that as a yes. And I said, so, and then it's like, and then I'm like, before I was like, I want to make sure that I make myself clear, because there's like 3 people there now. I'm like, who neglected my kids? Well, that's not, I don't want to talk about it. This is the person in my family's now got amnesia. Now the person in my family has amnesia. I don't want to talk about it. I'm like, no. I'm like, answer the question. I asked you a question. I'm like, who neglected my children? Your ex did. Who has custody of my children? Your ex does. Somebody else in my family. Who has anger issues? His girlfriend does. Who falsely accused him and got caught recently? I already brought this person up. His girlfriend did. Who has custody of their kids? His girlfriend does. Do you see where I'm going with this? But then but calm down.